Well, you know, they always
We in his presence, but we sleep.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, this is it. Hey, baby. Hey, how you doing? Yes, ma'am.
Your change on your music. I will change. So far, those are my two. That I'm a root for, but I'm not gonna watch. But it,
Well, listen, sometimes you gotta. I noticed the last time. I was like, he'll tell me if he wants to now. This looks like it could be a short. Well, okay, now you guys have a habit of doing work sessions short. Regular council meeting is long. And tomorrow's our anniversary, so y'all need to make today long for the work. Congratulations. 8 years. And at the last meeting, Ms. Creel, I asked that we not have a bunch of special guests tomorrow so we could get out of here timely. Because I know I have to be out of here probably before the meeting even ends. So hopefully they hopefully that helps.
How you been?
So far, so good. I want to make sure that you have ample use.
See, I'm pushing my stuff out of the way.
I'm just saying.
You see that?
I don't want to be accused of anything one time.
Just push my stuff out of the way.
Just saying. Isn't that like the cutest superhero you've ever seen?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir. So what? What about?
What is this Serenity Club? About the lease of the building, that's the proposition.
I don't know if we can pencil you in. We kind of have this thing going, you know? Hey, John, did you get the email?
Yeah,
Did they answer the question?
yeah, I mean, yeah, answer the question that I asked, yeah. And
Good. It's horrible. Thank goodness.
You did or did not? Okay, I just want to make sure it's live.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm getting scared to come out.
How you doing?
Where?
Yeah, good to see you.
Well, I know. He was gonna wait.
It sounded good.
We have it.
We're all
It's already
already taken care of.
Well, yeah, let them know that what was asked from them.
Like, so what do you think about it? Like, finding them and doing that without the proper permits, so that they're not going on. But then, like, the thing is, you got restaurants and stuff. But as far as like 3 restaurants, a bunch of parking lots, and maybe walking. When that area could be like more retail. More parking where they have restaurants at some point, you know?
This is dish. That's why I was coming outside. I got import. I was trying to have lunch, and I got import. Okay.
We got some bad news for you. Yeah. Remember, I'm adjacent to that area. I met with the owner. His liquor store is
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I just want to help. I just want to help and not.
Yeah, I don't either.
That's your other option. I was working. You're right now. What it looks like is not that you don't want to work with someone, that you don't want to black man and have fun.
No way.
Let's talk about you.
Keisha fixed it.
I did.
Tell them Keisha.
The tubes came in.
They said they just put one in.
I don't know, but I don't want any.
Oh my God, John, just stop talking.
I'm serious.
Just stop.
I would ban it.
Just stop. Okay. You are not. It's working. It's working. John Nicholson is not. I don't know what we're gonna do. This is embarrassing.
That was a good one.
Somebody needs to change. I mean, like, I don't even know what he said. Like, it's a whole other kind of fascism that's going on.
And you was up here running. I did.
I don't believe it for a second. Don't believe it for a second. Well, good. Just do 2 workouts. 6.
What is it? She's trying to get me the phone.
Yeah, I'm the only one with the time. You want to come work out with us?
Lord, no. Exercise key, I have to be down,
The meeting of the Shreveport City Council has not been called to order. We will have invocation by Councilman James Fleury, and Councilman Butcher will lead us with the pledge. Please stand.
Let us pray. Oh, gracious God, our Heavenly Father, we come today giving you praise and thanks. We ask, oh God, that you give us the anointing that we might have wisdom and knowledge. Oh God, let us understand and be compassionate. Let us, oh Lord, be merciful. We pray for your grace, Lord, that unmerited favor. Lord, now we pray these things for this great city and for our mayor and administration. And Lord, I pray for all the workers that carry out the daily duties, our men and women of the police and fire department. Guide them, give them safety, oh God. May you build a hedge around them and and protect them. These things now I ask in Christ's holy name. Amen.
Please face the flag and repeat the pledge after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Councilman Fleury,
Here.
Councilwoman Fuller,
Present.
Councilman Nicholson,
Present.
Councilman Bowman,
Here.
Councilman Butcher,
Present.
Councilman Green,
Here.
and Councilman Bradford.
All right, we will have, tomorrow. Okay, does any council member have any distinguished guests or someone to be recognized at this time?
Minutes.
We'll have approval for the minutes on tomorrow. I asked for that approval for the last, meeting and, session we had. Okay. Mayor Perkins, you have any distinguished guests or any announcements at this time?
I don't, Mr. Chair.
Okay. We have some, I did want to ask, I know you read it, Mr. Green, but I did want to see if, did we have those persons who were to be confirmed here? Or any of those people here today?
We do have appointments here. You want them to all come up at this time, or you want to wait until?
I think now would be good if I can get, if that's okay with the council. Okay. All right. Mr. Green, I know you ready to come up first, but I'd like to see those persons if that's okay with everybody.
Yep.
Ms. Norris?
Mr. Walker's here too.
Mr. Walker? Who?
Yeah, we have Ms. Norris, Mr. Walker, we have Mr. Scoggins.
Yeah, Ms. Dunn.
And Ms. Dunn.
Yep,
Okay.
and Ms. Dunn. Yep.
And Jones.
Oh, same as well, yep.
Yeah, you all can
Mr.
come on up.
Jones.
You can come up to the front, please.
Oh, and Mr. Hollis, sorry. Sorry, Brian. Sorry about that.
Come on up to the mic. And one at a time, you can introduce yourself.
Mr. Chair.
Council.
I didn't see Pastor Hollins before, but if I don't do this, I'd have to move out of my district. I'd like to recognize Pastor Brian Hollins. I didn't see you. I didn't see you was over there, Pastor. Thank you so much. And we got that ditch cut over there, so tell the people it took me an arm and a leg to get it cut, but I got it cut, so I just want to throw that out and get some points. All right.
What arm and what leg was it that you had to?
I can't tell you.
All right. Yes, sir. You state your name and the position you'll be confirmed for.
Jonathan Scoggins, Civil and Service Board.
Okay. Anyone have any questions or anything for Mr. Scoggins?
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Scoggin, if you could just tell us about your background briefly.
Sure. We have a family business here in town. It's a third generation. It's an airline car rental. We are the first Avis franchise in America, started by my grandfather. I've been working there since probably 12 or 13 years old, and went away from college, came back and worked the counter, started doing the management, and then became operations manager about 10, 12 years ago. We operate with about 45 employees, give or take. We have a fleet around 400 cars, and so.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
All right.
Councilman Green, I know you're up right now, but Mr. Scoggins and his family also invest quite a bit in the Moortown area on development, so.
Yes, sir. I'm just getting past the Hollins one.
All right. Councilman Bradford, you had anything?
I have nothing.
Okay. Yes, that's it. I think that's you spoke for yourself. I didn't hear you. I know you said from the front counter to ops manager.
That's correct.
Did you do any car washing or housekeeping? Doing that?
Yeah, you name it, I've done it. Absolutely.
All right. Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry, Councilman Fleury.
Mr. Coggins, I have one question for you, please. Are you currently a resident of Shreveport?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Walker. Just state your name, for the record, just state your name and the,
Henry
appointment.
Walker.
Okay. Any questions? Councilman Fleury?
Good afternoon, Mr. Walker. thank you for agreeing to serve on the Civil Service Board. I was a bit surprised to see your nomination because I'm sure that we've seen your work before the city. Will you have any problem serving in that area since your practice law and everything?
No, sir, I no longer take active cases, so.
Okay, and you're currently a resident of the city of Shreveport?
I am, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Walker?
Mr. Walker, if you would, tell the council a bit about your background and your law practice, please.
Say again?
Would you please tell the council about your background and your law practice? I know you and I know each other, and I know it, but I'd like the council to hear it, please.
Well, I started practicing in 1968 with my grandfather's law firm, hated it, and went out on my own.
Fine group of people at your grandfather's law firms, just for the...
And practiced criminal defense and civil rights law for the next 40-something years.
And how long have you been retired, or when did you stop taking active cases?
Oh, a decade.
Yeah.
I still get called all the time, but
I'm sure that's true. Thank you, sir.
All right.
How you doing, Hakeem Jones? Guess I don't got to be that close.
All right, Mr. Jones. Councilman Fleury.
Would you please state for the record your name and your full address?
Hakeem Jones, 647 Somerville Drive, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71115.
Okay, and so I take it that you are currently a resident of the city of Shreveport?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and could you talk a little bit about your background?
Yeah, I'm
What
currently
qualifies you to be on the Civil Service Board?
currently a therapist here in town. Been working with kids and adults in the Shreveport and Bossier community for about 9 years now, offering just therapy and helping them through whatever type of issues that they have. So what makes me qualified, just being able to give a non-biased opinion, you know, to look after the best interest for our citizens, but also the best interest of the people that we're trying to, our public servants.
Okay, and serving on the Civil Service Board, you'll keep an open mind and render a fair and partial decision?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Fuller.
If we're gonna ask him those questions, we should ask everyone else to come back and answer those same questions. Do you mind? All right, thank you.
All right.
Just whenever.
Okay.
Good, Mr.
We'll start now
Scoggins.
with Mr. Scoggins.
I didn't have anything. Thank you for your answer,
Oh,
but
okay.
I figure everyone should be, if we're gonna have all of you standing here in front of us all at the same time, everyone's privy to the same answers and questions. So can you tell us what you think qualifies you to be on the Civil Service Board?
Sure, just my vast experience of management. I've managed over 300 people at my time being with our business. I deal with the hirings and firings of everyone within our company. I'm fair. I give everyone a chance before they leave or come to our company, and I think I can serve this board really well with my experience.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Mr. Walker, do you mind answering that question?
say again, please.
The question was just what qualifies you to be, like, why would you be qualified to be on the Civil Service Board specifically?
Because I've been on both sides of most questions that come before the board. I've taught at the police academies, I've given lectures to police officers how to avoid getting sued.
Right. Thank you.
All right. Go ahead now. Mr. Oh, now y'all want to let the ladies go first.
Good afternoon. I'm Ebony Rhodes Norris. I guess what qualifies me, I'm a local attorney. I'm a native of Shreveport. I went to LSU Shreveport and went off for law school, and I loved the community so much that I came back to practice law. I was licensed in 2013, and as a local business owner, I run a law firm where I handle criminal estate planning in small business matters.
You've been practicing, you said practicing law since 13?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Councilman Thurman?
Yes, ma'am. Are you currently a resident of the city of Shreveport?
I live in Shreveport, and I am a Shreveport business owner as well.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hello, I'm Brittany Dunn. I'm here for the Zoning Board of Appeals. And what qualifies me is I'm a local business owner in Shreveport as well. I own my own accounting firm here in Shreveport, and I've also been a resident and a homeowner in Shreveport for the past 10 years. I feel like what qualifies me is being able to see the appeal process as a business owner and also as a resident of Shreveport.
Ms. Dunn, may I chair?
Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you, I'm sorry. You've recently, you and a partner who does insurance, you all recently built from the ground up a business building, correct? Did y'all build a structure?
Well,
as a part of
actually,
that?
Ms. Katrina did build her own structure, and I was able to come in and sublease. And so we have 4 or 5 black-owned small businesses in the facility.
But y'all have had a relationship since before that, so you kind of got to watch her walk through all of that process.
Absolutely, and she kind of mentors me. So I think that being able to be in her building and watch her operate in a spirit of excellence has kind of rubbed off on me, and has taught me a lot through this process of being a business owner as well.
Do you feel like that experience might give you some insights so that you can help us to improve some of our policies and procedures within the MPC?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm also a very analytical person, so I try to evaluate things and look at things in a different perspective. So I think that'll help as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Dawn, let me ask you one question. I'm sorry. With this bit, I know I put you on the spot. With this being a new, and I probably could have asked it to others, but I think you're the only one up for the zoning board, if I'm not. Yeah. So your willingness to grow there.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay. So that's what I need to know.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm Brian Hollins, 8900 Rosedown Place, Shreveport, Louisiana. I live in your district, and I'm being reappointed to the board, so I presently serve on the board.
That's what qualifies you?
That's what qualifies me.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions for Mr. Hollins?
Pastor Hollins, I want to thank you for having served past on the board, and thank you for your service.
Pastor Hollins, how many years in the Shreveport Fire Department did you have?
28.
28 years.
28 years. All right. Councilman Butcher.
Chief, thanks again for serving again. I know you did a good job the last round, and knowing people that have been on the Civil Service Board, I know it's not a very glamorous spot sometimes, so I appreciate you serving again. Thank you.
All right. I just want to say I appreciate all of you to even come to even try to do this, because serving is kind of, it gets rough, just like Councilman Butcher just said, and sometimes it takes a lot out of you. So just the fact that you're willing to commit yourself to do so, I really appreciate that. Councilwoman Fuller.
Oh no, I was clearing out.
Clearing out. Okay. But that's what I had. Did you have anything else on that?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay. I thank you all. Appreciate you. All right. Mr. Green. Anyone have anything relative to property standards for Mr. Green? Seeing Councilman Nichols?
We'll talk later. I got plenty for you, but I'm not going to give it to y'all right now.
Okay.
Mr. Green, there's a street, Linden Street in Miss Fuller's district. At the corner, we talked about it before. Same issue. The grass is still high.
Linden Street.
Yeah, Linden and Line. And it looks like maybe they cut part of the yard, but they left
that
other
corner
part of the yard still
on the
got
Line
weed
Avenue
stalks
side.
that are forehead high. So anything you can
I'm
do.
raising the purse at you.
That's it. Thank you.
All right. Councilman Bradford, did you have anything for Mr. Green?
No, sir, I did not.
All right. But we did have one person that called earlier. He said he was in your district, so I forwarded to Mr. Green, and he said they talked to him, they taking care of it. So
Thank you. Thank you,
all right.
Chair.
No, I do have something.
Yes, ma'am.
Clanton Street, what can we do about those lots that need to be cut? My people are saying that everything over there just looks abandoned and just like nobody cares.
We constantly keep Clanton Street cut, but we'll get it cut.
All right, thank you.
All right, I think that's it, Mr. Green. Thank you for your service.
Okay.
You gonna stick around?
Sit right out there.
Do you have any item to be added to the agenda today?
No, sir.
All right. Let me pass this part here. No consent agenda. What about ordinances and resolutions to be adopted? Do we have any? Oh, I didn't see any. I didn't see any. Okay, I'm sorry. Public comments.
Mr. Josh Hathorn.
I thought we got away with our public comments today.
And I'm assuming, Mr. Chairman, these are for today. Mr. Hathorn?
Josh? Josh?
Ryan Amend? Perhaps they've been submitted to tomorrow, Mr. Chairman.
Must be tomorrow. All right. Ordinances and resolution. Ms. Jones. Ms. Jones.
We have one under consent agenda. Resolution 114, authorizing the city of Shreveport, Louisiana, purchasing agent to reject all bids received for bus shelters for Sportran IFB bid number 19-43. Under resolutions on second reading and final passage, Resolution 100A, ordering and calling a special election to be held in the city of Shreveport, state of Louisiana, to authorize the incurring of debt and issuance of bonds therein, making application to the State Bond Commission. Resolution 110, authorizing the mayor to make an application with the U.S. Department of Justice for JAG grant. Resolution 115, to recognize and honor William Gary Lofton for 16 years as Caddo Parish Clerk of Court and 41 years of service in the Caddo Parish Clerk of Court's office. Resolution 116, authorizing the mayor to dedicate the 9200 block of Bayard Road between Ridgewood and Burt Coons to Richard Ricky Crockett Leonard.
Okay, on 100A, I know it's supposed to be just some grammar. Can you speak to that so everyone in the audience and refresh some of us council members also, please?
Yes, so this resolution was passed in August 13th, and it declares the election. We received some questions from the State Bond Commission. One of them asked us to come back and have a resolution that specifically says not to exceeding 20 years as the term for which the payback of the bonds would be. The language that was in the original resolution was the same as what was in 2011. We have a new analyst at the State Bond Commission now, and they said the law has not changed, but they want to make sure that we have clarified that the years is not to exceed 20 years.
Okay, all right. Everyone okay with that? We got it? All right. Introduction of resolution.
Resolution 117, acknowledging that the City Council has reviewed the 2019 Internal Municipal Water Pollution Prevention Report.
Any questions on that? Councilman Fleury?
Has Councilman Green read that report?
Councilman Green?
I didn't hear you.
Have you read the report on number 117?
117.
117.
Council, we're not voting to tomorrow, so you got another day.
You got another day.
You got another day. We all do.
Okay.
I think Councilman Fleury was checking you. All right. Ms. Jones, proceed, please.
Under Section C, Introduction of Ordinances, Ordinance 92A, amending Section 1-15 of Chapter 1, General Provisions of the City of Shreveport, Louisiana Code of Ordinances relative to misdemeanor offenses. Ordinance 119, amending the 2019 Capital Improvements Budget. Ordinance 120 is amending the 2019 Community Development Special Revenue Fund Budget. Ordinance 121 is amending the 2019 budget for the General Fund. This is for the SPD staff vehicle. Ordinance 122 is amending the City of Shreveport, Louisiana 2019 General Fund budget. Ordinance 123 is authorizing the mayor to execute a cooperative endeavor lease agreement of city-owned property located at 1506 Abbey Street, Shreveport, Louisiana 71103, in Caddo Parish to the Serenity Club of Shreveport, Inc. for the purpose of leasing to use it for programs and to maintain the buildings and grounds. Ordinance 124 is amending Chapter 22 of the City of Shreveport, Louisiana Code of Ordinances relative to buildings and building regulations. Ordinance 125 is amending Chapter 102, Article 3A, Section 102-88 of the Code of Ordinances regarding transportation network companies. Ordinance 126 is amending Chapter 74, Article 3, Section 74-56 of the Code of Ordinances relative to solid waste revenue.
All right, Councilman Nicholson.
Mr. Chairman, the council has previously adopted Ordinance 92, which incorporated by reference misdemeanor offenses from the state criminal code into the city code. An amendment to that ordinance was inadvertently not offered and adopted. That amendment makes clear that the penalties under the city code will not be any greater than the penalties provided in state law. And so because we did not adopt that amendment, this is back on the agenda to clean that parliamentary error up. Concerning Ordinance 122, I just want to commend the administration and our information technology department for being proactive in protecting the city against cyberware or cyber ransom. I don't know what to call it, but being ransomware. This is the situation where hackers attack a city and lock up its systems until the city pays a bounty. This investment will help protect us against that risk, which is substantial. Thank you.
All right. And if you would, please, on 125, could you just state exactly what that is for a couple of members of the audience, please?
The ransomware?
No, on 125 with the transportation network company.
Mr. Chairman, last summer, the state legislature passed and Governor Edwards signed a bill that preempts local municipalities' authority to regulate companies like Uber and Lyft. And so this legislation will eliminate from the city code provisions that are no longer permitted under state law.
All right. Okay, Councilman Bradford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to make the council aware and ask for their support of ordinance number 123. And working with the Director of FAR and understanding the work and the programs that are initiated and put on at the by the Serenity Club at this property on Abbey Street, which is a long-term property of the city. It goes back to when I was a child. We utilized that facility, but now in this agreement, they will continue the use of it. It was the same provisions was given to a church facility in that area, and they wanted to release their responsibility, but the Serenity Club is utilizing it and wants to continue with the same agreement, and that is they would do all the upkeep of the building, pay the utilities, keep the grounds groomed, and all the maintenance that they can do of the facility. I think it's a great use of city property, utilizing it for the various activities that goes on there now. Some includes AA meetings, neighborhood meetings, just a host of other meetings. Great people. I've had a chance to visit with them, to be in some of their activities. And I thank Ms. Rago and the mayor for agreeing to allow them to continue the use of this facility, and I ask your support.
All right, thank you. Councilman Fleury?
Ordinance 126, I'd like to know who the author of that is. Is that the administration?
This is a cleanup from the legal department, and I think it's specifically make sure that we're directing the revenues from solid waste to the solid waste enterprise fund.
Okay, but once it gets in there, we can't spend it about nothing but solid waste, right?
Specifically for solid waste.
And that had been a part of the general budget.
You're right. It was a part of the general fund budget, but no longer. It will be.
Is this what we want to do? Take revenue away?
Well, this
Because
is
I thought we had
supplemental.
$7, excuse me, I have the floor. The $7 was supposed to, garbage fee was supposed to fill that copper, I thought, up.
Yeah, no, Councilman, we were very clear that $7 wouldn't be enough to cover the full cost. What it would do was help us from the supplemental funds we were taking out of the general into the other. So we have to supplement it like with a much smaller number than we did in the past dedicated to this, so.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Councilman Nicholson, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't think the mayor's explained well the purpose of the
All right.
legislation.
Councilwoman Fuller.
Oh, I didn't have.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. All right, if no other discussion, then ordinance on second reading and final passage, Ms. Jones.
Ordinance 107 is amending the 2019 Airport Enterprise Fund budget. Ordinance 108 amending the 2019 Capital Improvements budget. Ordinance 109 amending the 2019 Community Development Special Revenue Fund budget. Ordinance 110 amending the City of Shreveport, Louisiana 2019 Capital Improvements budget. Ordinance 111 amending the City of Shreveport, Louisiana 2019 Street Special Revenue Fund budget. Ordinance 112 is amending the City of Shreveport, Louisiana 2019 Capital Improvements budget. Ordinance 113 is amending the 2019 Street Special Revenue Fund budget. Ordinance 114 is amending the 2019 Capital Improvements budget. Ordinance 115 is authorizing the mayor to exchange surplus city-owned immovable property and all improvements thereon located at 3406 Velva Avenue, Shreveport, Louisiana 71109, commonly referred to as the former Fire Station 8. Ordinance 116 is amending sections 58-117 and 58-118 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Shreveport. Ordinance 117 is zoning case number 19-362-C, an ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the City of Shreveport Unified Development Code by rezoning property located on the south side of Greenwood Road, approximately 125 feet west of Broadway Avenue, Shreveport, Caddo Parish, Louisiana, from I-1 Light Industrial District to IMU Industrial Mixed Use District. Ordinance 118 is zoning case number 19-371-C, an ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the City of Shreveport Unified Development Code by rezoning property located on the southwest corner of Greenwood Road and Maywood Drive, Shreveport, Caddo Parish, Louisiana, Shreveport, Caddo Parish, Louisiana, from C1 Neighborhood Commercial District to I-1 Light Industrial District.
Councilman Green?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I know in 112, that has to do with Linwood, that it was told that we were matching funds from the feds to get Linwood, and from my understanding, I was thinking that money from each of our districts would make this possible. But I see Councilman Fleury and myself is there. But then 111, of course, that's in Councilman Nicholson's district, and then I see Councilman Fleury and myself, and I've talked to Patrick, but I still can't get any sense as to why I'm over in 111 as well as 112, and if there's money being taken out of my district and not out of all of our districts, and I don't understand that process, but I still hadn't got clear. I understand it's a companion, but I was not a part of whatever comes before the companion. So I'm still trying to get some understanding as to why does it have to be a companion? So if y'all can uncompanion me on this companion, then it would help me out.
Sure.
So Patrick, can y'all do that without?
Yeah, we could separate the street special revenue fund is not coming from a particular district, but we can separate to designate Linwood separate from Ninth Street if you would like to see specific amendments that only has your district and Councilman Fleury.
Right. At 112, that's just Councilman Fleury now, that's Linwood. But I'm still trying to figure out how I get into 111.
It's a combined companion. It includes both Linwood and Ninth Street. So what I'm saying is that, is there a way that we can separate it so that Linwood and Ninth Street are in separate, they have their own companions?
Yes, ma'am. Could y'all do that?
Yes, can we
Thank
do
you.
that, Art, by offering an amendment?
Would be an amendment to 111, right?
Yes, can we do that on tomorrow?
Yes, we talked to Patrick about it, and, yeah, we can.
Okay.
Okay.
We can offer amendment to separate them.
All right, Councilman Nicholson?
Mr. Chairman, the form of the legislation that accomplishes funding of the Ninth Street project is not a particular consequence to me, but I will say that I urge my colleagues on the council to approve funding of the Ninth Street project from the Street Special Revenue Fund. Ninth Street was to be completed with 2011 bond funds. For a variety of reasons that did not happen, but I do think we owe it to the citizens of my district, and in particular those who use Ninth Street on a regular basis, to complete that project. I understand that that's the administration's intention. I appreciate that, but it is important that we move those funds so that that work can be done. Thank you.
All right. Councilman Bradford?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Not at all rejecting the councilman's rationale, but I think we owe it to our citizens to do a lot of street improvements throughout the city, especially some streets in my district. So my question is, will this transfer deplete this fund and will halt any further asphalt overlay within the city over the next 6 months?
No, we still will have funds remaining in the Street
Okay, speak
Special
aloud,
Revenue
I'm sorry.
Fund. After these transfers, there will still be funds remaining in the Street Special Revenue Fund that can be allocated for additional citywide projects.
I mean, an adequate amount?
So it will be, what's the balance, Patrick? I'll have Patrick come up to give you the actual balance that would be remaining. But the total, if you recall, was about 6.8 million for 2019, and these won't deplete the fund completely.
Yes, it'll be approximately 9.5 million for citywide, the way I have it planned out. So this Linwood project in front of you today is what we call Phase 3. That's from Mount Zion to 84th. We plan to introduce at the following meeting legislation for Phase 4 of Linwood, and that will require about 1.3 from the Street Special Revenue Fund. That will leave about $2 million in the Street Special Revenue Fund that we can leverage about $7 million federal funds with to have a more than a $9 million citywide project. So engineering is currently working on a list of particulars for that citywide project. It's going to take us about a month to get that list prepared, and once we get that list prepared, we'll work with administration to submit that to the city council and get that funded.
Okay.
At that time.
Okay, and I'm certainly aware of what's in the bond proposal for my district in regards to streets. But there's several that I want to recommend for immediate overlay, and I'll get those to you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Councilman Butcher?
I would, ordinance 113 and 114 deal with the red light at Southern Loop and Wallace Lake Road. I would ask for all the council members to please support this. This has been a persistent problem in my area of town that it's caused some deaths. This intersection is extremely dangerous. I almost got hit there this weekend from somebody pulling out. So I think that the traffic study was done, and it said it did meet the criteria for a red light. So we've worked very hard with the mayor's office and the Caddo Parish Administration and Commissioner John Atkins, and the parish is willing to put up part of the cost of this. So I would hope that that all the council members would help support me with this. Thank you.
All right. And Mayor Perkins?
Yeah, Councilman Butcher, I'll address yours first. I get calls all the time from our supporters out in that area. So yeah, we're looking forward to starting construction on that light out there. The parish is fitting half the bill. I wish they fit more, but they're also. I just talked to Dr. Wilson, and they're also going to fit half the maintenance costs, and we're going to do a longer term contract rather than the upfront payment they were trying to do that we were coordinating at the beginning. So we're going to do a perpetual partnership, so that'll be a city parish project throughout. But I wanted to talk about Councilman Nicholson's point about Knight Street and the 2011 bond, and just say that we do have to get that done right now. I've gone out, I've done 4 community meetings at this point, well, 3 community meetings and another general obligation bond presentation, and I constantly hear about promises that were made from the 2011 bond that hadn't come to fruition. So it's just very important for the administration to make sure that even though we weren't the ones that were in the seat at the time, that we uphold those promises for that. So yes, you have our support in getting Knight Street done.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Butcher.
Mayor, thank you. I want to go on record and say that I appreciate the mayor's office tremendously for this red light. I said it before, but we've been trying to get one out there for almost 10 years. A young girl was killed out there probably in 2009, and this is the first mayor's office that has listened to us. So thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. And Councilman Green.
Thank you. Also, Councilman, you supported me on the lights that I have over at St. Vincent, and but I guess my issue is I'll support you on it, but the person, I can't remember his name, he was at the last public safety meeting I was at, that's over, is Mr. Norman?
Traffic engineering.
Michael Erland. Dr. Erland. My issue is with Dr. Erland, whereas at St. Vincent they've had wrecks that they've had, and the people over in that area, they're just crying out for a light. They got a blinking light there, so that tells you that something is wrong. They've cried out for it, but he comes to the public safety meeting and he has no heart. He's like, well, we don't even get a point for that one. Not zero, zip. I mean, people have had accidents. Even while I had the legislation on the agenda, folk were having wrecks there. And this guy comes to the public safety meeting with no kind of heart. And I say to him, down the street from that light, for the blinking light, you got a traffic light there, but about 2 cars come through it. I say, what about that light? Why we can't remove it? He said, all the emotions of the people would just really, we wouldn't want to deal with their emotions. But he has no heart that there at St. Vincent, it seemeth though where low-income people live, then they don't deserve it. But another area, then he has like a whole slate of points. Oh, they got about 20 points. And that's where my brain just don't function right. He has no heart. He has no public service skills as to dealing with talking about it. And I don't know. It just kind of racks my brain that this particular light has nothing to do with you. But this particular light, when he goes out, he gives it like points. Like I'm sitting there in the meeting, so I know these lights that this light I'm talking about gets 0 point. I don't care how many accidents there. So he says, well, we might get sued. We get sued all the time. So I'll support, this legislation because you saw the need, and of course Cedar Grove is in your district, also in Councilman Nicholson. We voted for it, the council voted for it, but the person that's over that, what's his name? Erling?
Dr. Erling.
Dr. Erling has no heart for that particular part of the city, and that just racks my brain. Out there, he was just so jubilant. Yes, they reached the criteria, they got all these points, and they this. Over there, you already got a blinking light. Over there, you already got people that have had accidents, they hurt, and they're gonna have some more there. until somebody died, then we'll have a lawsuit anyway. So I just want to throw that out just parenthetically that I don't understand his calculation. I understand it, but I don't understand how one could be so wonderful and the other one can't. And I just, and Ms. Hart, is that Ms. Hart? Ms. Hart, would you please come up? I just wanted you to come up, Ms. Hart. You have 3 council members here, and I'm fighting to get that, 4, I'm sorry. But I was meaning over by St. Vincent. So, but, and we really need it. You all been crying out for it. And I guess the only next thing that you could do is ask the citizens to pray that, of course, the mayor is going to get a second opinion, but pray that the person that's over that safety deal, that something would touch his heart, that it would be a little more compassionate. And I just wanted to say that, Ms. Harden, I just wanted you to come up so that you could face the 4 of us. So as hard as we work on getting the one over on the other side of town, that we need to work to get this one on this side of town. And I just wanted you to come up and so that all 4 of us will be able to see you.
Yes, sir. Just to say, the best thing to do is to visit the area at busy time. That way you will all know the kinds of things that can happen. There are about 3, there's a light at St. Vincent on 70th Street. There's one at 79th. 79th does not get as much traffic as 84th does. So I don't know how the rationale is come to, but if people were there at busy times to see how the traffic moves, I don't know if there's a traffic count on 84th now, but whatever you can do. I've been here for 20 years, and I don't know if there's a year that has passed that there has not been several accidents at that place. So we appreciate you, Mr. Reverend Green, for continuing to work on that project.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Hart.
Captain Green, would you yield to me, please?
Yes, sir.
While you passionately bring that up, that there's no heart, I'd just like to share with you that I've been here almost 5 years. I'm a junior ranger, not a senior ranger. But Mr. Erlin has said on everything that I have asked from day one, from January 1st, 2015, he has said, no, no, no. I think we need to get him a rubber stamp. I did appeal to a higher power to get a school zone sign for the Word of God there on Summer Grove, and that higher power was at the time the mayor, and I was able to get it. But it's been no, no, no from him on everything that I've asked for. Thank you.
Well, all I know, Councilman, I was at the meeting, and it was no, no, no points, period. But this one, other one comes up, and they just got checks. Oh yeah, this is very needed. This is like unbelievable. I said, well, what about the light down on St. Vincent that 3 cars come through? Well, if we moved that one, the emotions would be so high that I'm like, emotions? People are getting hurt. But thank you, Councilman.
All right. Ms. Jones.
Yeah, I was going to state that we are getting a second opinion. Councilman Green did mention that already.
Yes, ma'am.
But we are looking into
Thank
this
you.
again. At the time of the committee meeting, school was not in. So now that school is back in, we hope to have some results from that as soon as possible.
Thank you, Ms. Jones, and thank you too, Mayor. And how much you think the rubber stamp would cost?
I'd be willing to spring for it. Don't worry about the cost. I'd be willing to pay.
Councilman Butcher.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, both of those lights that Councilman Green put forward, they both passed, right?
Yes, sir.
So I have, Ms. Hart, I visited that area as well, and I cut through 85th a good bit to get over to St. Vincent, especially when there's a train across Line Avenue, Mayor, that sits there sometimes for hours that y'all might want to look into. Union Pacific blocks that. So anyway, I ended up having to cut through 85th a good bit to get to St. Vincent. But I just wanted to say that I support those lights and did from the start, because that's what the community and the citizens said that we needed. I don't understand all the numbers and what goes into what, but I do know that Southern Loop and Wallace Lake Road didn't qualify a couple of years ago, and now the traffic count's up. So, but I appreciate the mayor doing an independent study on it, and I know they had the traffic counters on Southern Loop, so I'm assuming they're out on St. Vincent as well. So, thank you,
Councilman Bradford.
Me, you're the Councilman Green.
I was just gonna ask if those of you that's here today, if y'all don't have nothing to do after the meeting, let's drive down St. Vincent and see if we can get another count. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Bradford.
Mr. Chairman, I'm gonna respond to the mayor for a minute, but I want to say I spent the weekend in Dallas, and oftentimes we say, what's the deal with Shreveport? And I'm gonna say that we can't compete with the Dallas area. We're not competing with the Dallas area, okay? And if this body doesn't take a position on exercising the understanding that is being debated here now to try to do what we have to do to improve Shreveport, we won't even be able to compete with South Oak Cliff. Now, I attended 2 meetings of the bond proposals. And what I experienced, I don't know that the mayor experienced it or his administrators, is that a lot of the complaints about what had not happened in Shreveport, and they find themselves blaming the mayor and this council for something that they had nothing to do with over the last 12 years. Complain about something that was not even in the bond packages, the previous ones. That wasn't in the 2001 bond package, nor was it in the 2011 bond package. But when it comes to what is not happening, they have been misguided in the sense that they felt like some of these projects was in those packages, and they wasn't in those packages. And now we have an opportunity to do something very positive for this city, because some of the projects that they are complaining about, and very disappointingly, some of the opponents are pushing very strongly for opposition to the bond package, which would set us back even further than what we are now if we don't do something progressively in a capital way for this city, which would have a direct impact on who would look at this city for any type of economic development. Would be detrimental for the future, because if we don't do something now, it won't get no better in the next 10 years. And people are gonna say, and I think somebody said it earlier at one of the meetings, that if we can't invest in ourselves, who would want to invest in us? We can't compete. We cannot compete with the Dallas metro area, because that's where the economics are. People go where economics are, businesses go where they can make a dollar. They don't go to set up a store, to set up a restaurant, because it will look good for the community. If they can't make it work for economic benefit, they're not coming. And yet we hear everywhere we go, we want this restaurant on Pines Road. We want this restaurant on the Cooper Road. We want this restaurant over here. We want this restaurant over there. And I'm like, we don't want no dollar store. We want no general dollar store. We want no dollar mania store. We want, and I'm like, but there's studies are done to evaluate what would work. And that's not necessarily the government's issue. The issue is, how do we as a city work together to make it conducive and attractive for people to come and stay in our city and bring businesses to our city? And they're building like crazy over there in parts of the Dallas Metro. So I just wanted to say, Mr. Chairman, that we need a full court press. It ain't gonna get no better. In my meeting, well, the meeting that was in my district last Thursday, John Seller got so disappointed at some of the crowd that he sent me an email saying, "Hang in there." And it is disappointing when you try your best to do what's right for your district, for this city, and people are misguided and misinformed about what is actually there, what is actually trying to do, who's to blame. Everybody can find somebody to blame. We can always find somebody to blame. But let's find something that we can work together on. And I see this as a great opportunity, Mr. Chairman. And I said that because there were some projects that was not completed off the 2011 bond. But most of the feedback I'm getting for projects that they thought was there was never on the bonds, never. But they are now, and the needs has been expressed. And I'm unequivocally and categorically supporting and pushing and exhorting everybody I can that we need to do this, because if we don't do this go around, I'm afraid my son and my nephews are gonna be headed west. And I applaud you more now than ever for coming back, because I'm telling you that there's goals in them their hills over there. And we're gonna have goals in these hills in North Louisiana. We're gonna have to dig it out. And I'm saying again that the opportunity is here, people watching us, and I'm just hoping that we don't disappoint ourselves and our people and those that would want to come to Shreveport, because we're too divided that we won't even help ourselves. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, Councilman Bradford. Councilman Fleury.
Thank you. I
Okay.
appreciate that, Councilman Fleury. I want to go back to the traffic lights, because that was actually in an infrastructure meeting that came up. And while I do appreciate that the administration is going to do the second opinion so that we actually have more data to look at, I'll say that I'm not saying any of this because I'm against the traffic lights. I care about the safety of our community very, very much. But I like to at least look at facts a couple of times before feelings. Measure twice, cut once, they say. So I'm hoping that maybe tomorrow we can invite Dr. Erlin to come up and explain his criteria for why he has made the suggestions that he's made, because there were several criteria, if I remember, that he brought forth about what would be a yes versus a no based on traffic counts and pedestrian counts to justify putting a light in. It didn't seem to me, especially after the gentleman said that he's lost the life of family members to traffic accidents, that he's someone that's coming at this in a heartless way. And if we're gonna have grievances about the way he does his job, we should at least give him a chance to express himself to face with us, you know? But the data that he put forward to us seemed to be stating that on the traffic counts that he did, that they weren't up to the standard they needed to be to justify what we were asking for. Now, I'm not saying that I still wouldn't want to put it there, but I think it's important that we at least let the public know how these things come about, and that he's not just willy-nilly coming out there and saying no without looking at some sort of data and at least trying to do his due diligence. And I would hope that he's not employing any bias, and I really don't think that he is. I'll yield back. Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Chair.
Councilman Green?
I'm not saying he's biased. I'm saying that I was in the same meeting that you all were in. I asked him about the light down the street. Now, I don't know if this is bias or not, but he says, well, if I move that light, the emotions are involved. I'm talking about a light where human lives are involved. And so, I mean, if y'all want him to come, you can. But I wouldn't want him to come at this particular time, because I would just like for him to come when I could keep my composure. Because one, when you say that one light down the street, if you move it, somebody down the street, their emotions would fly. And then this particular light where somebody's already just about gotten killed, seriously hurt, it doesn't reach not one point, not one. I was feeling real bad, but after Councilman Fleury said that he said no to him, no, no, no on everything, I mean, if you got a blinking light there already, you gotta deserve some points for something. And then with all of the accidents, they said, well, cut the bushes. But in other neighborhoods, you don't cut bushes. You just do what they ask you to do. So all they're asking for is a light. We're not asking for a block of the city. We're not asking for city. You just want a light for safety. That's what they want. And I think that they have that right to do it. But I was in the same meeting. I think you were there. Were you there?
Yes, sir.
And I wouldn't just come publicly and just lie and say he said something. He says, I can't take that down because of emotions. I mean, who is emotion? And then I can't put this one up because he has a criteria, but folk are still getting killed. And the only thing he could say is that, well, we might get in a lawsuit. Bury me under the dirt. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Councilman Fleury.
One thing that I think, Jerry, you and Willem remember on these projects that were in 2011 that didn't get done. You remember the $3 million for sidewalks?
Mm-hmm.
How we never got that done. We had $3 million, and then we weren't able to, spend that money to put sidewalks in neighborhoods that needed them. So that's one that I remember. I was going to say something, but Councilwoman Fuller kind of quieted me down there. But I was going to say that perhaps maybe I did speak a little quick on no, but I know one other person that I thought real quick that probably said no more than Dr. Erlin would have been my loan officer. But I asked for small things like stop signs in neighborhoods where they came to their councilman for help, and I wasn't able to render a stop sign to help slow down the traffic for the children in the neighborhood. It was always no, but I'll leave that as it may be. I heard Dr. Erlin too speak in your infrastructure committee, and you're exactly right. He did lay out a lot of criteria, and having had to get on the stand before when I was with Production Credit and counting cows and collateral. It is when you get on the stand and you have to give data as to why. I understand that, but there has to be an attitude in city government, which Chairman Bowman wrote a beautiful letter concerning us as employees of the city. We have to come to work every day thinking, how can we say yes?
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I'm saying. If there's any crack in the door that we would hope that we wouldn't err, because we're always going to get sued. But we have to come to work every day how we can say yes. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Jones?
I will make sure that I send the council members the reports that came from traffic engineering on both of those locations so that you have that for information.
All right. Is that Councilman Green?
Yes, sir. I want to speak on the bond issue that, Mr. Mayor, when you come to my district, I believe it's on the 26th, I'm just asking you all to bring your A game because unlike other districts, my district needs some help. We need drainage. We need our streets fixed. Over in the area that you lived, over in the Woodlawn area, my streets over there, they got to be reconstructed. We had a bond issue before that. We had some money in it for it. I don't know where that money, but I need some help. And I'm in hopes tomorrow that the language that we got to change, I'm in hopes that my colleagues up here would not vote against it, that you all would at least let's give us the opportunity to change the language and not hold that up. Because my district possibly is not like most of y'all. I need some help. I need infrastructure. If my district was out on Uri Drive, I wouldn't be doing this plea because they went out there before years ago. I pastored a church in Gales, Louisiana. There was just cotton fields out there. But what happened was there are people who saw a need and wanted to improve, and they turned those cotton fields now into malls and places to eat and whatever. In my district, nobody wants to come because the infrastructure is bad, the drainage is bad, the streets are bad. So would you all just help us to get our district like your district so we won't have two Shreveports, that we'll have one Shreveport and that we'll be one. And so, you know, it's like if you don't vote for this bond issue, what's an alternative? What do I do? What do I tell the people? That we gotta wait until what? So I'm just asking, yeah, I know, well, we'll vote for the fire department, but I'm not gonna vote for no streets, I'm not gonna vote for no drainage, I'm not gonna vote for the rest of stuff. But fire department, all of us, if you get the fire department passed and my streets are bad, then the chief, they gonna tear their trucks up coming over there to put the fire out. So then we're gonna have to turn around and get some more trucks because the streets are so bad it's gonna tear those up. So I'm just asking for some help and that we'll have just one Shreveport. Chief, would you just come up a minute? I just want to ask you one question, Chief. And I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm in hopes you can answer this.
You did. That's okay.
Chief, we're talking about getting new trucks, and y'all need trucks and whatever. But wouldn't you like good streets in the whole city to drive the trucks on than just good streets in part of the city?
And I'm going to address that the same way I've been addressing all of our community citizens at our bond presentations. The fire department supports Proposition 1, the water portion of $32 million. The water department is 40% of our Class 1 rating. We can't fight fire without the water. We depend on the grid system, the water main sizes. We depend on the pressures from the hydrants and the volume of water that comes out in gallons per minute to extinguish our fires that are in our community when we're graded. So we support Proposition 1. We also support Proposition 3, which is streets and drainage. We need good streets to drive our trucks on. Bad roads tear people's cars up, and they also cause wear and tear on fire trucks and maintenance to be needed on those also. Again, the drainage, we support that. There are flood-prone areas in our city that this drainage projects will help. Anytime these flood-prone areas flood, when we have large volumes of rain, some of our citizens sometimes get placed in harm's way in those flooded areas, and firefighters have to put themselves in harm's way to make those rescues. So we support Proposition 1 and 3 as a fire department.
Thank you, Chief. When we start campaigning in my district about this, I'll need you to go live on Facebook with me with that same message. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Have a great day. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
That it, Councilman Green?
That's it.
All right. Councilman Fleury. Did you have something? I'm sorry.
No, I didn't know Councilman Green was on Facebook. That's good to know.
Yeah, my cousin them got me on there. They got me on there. Willie put me out there.
We have no, we have no other appeals, am I correct, Mr. Thompson? We have any reports from officers, boards, or committee? I know, and Grayson, you'll let us know tomorrow, Councilman Butcher, about a public safety meeting tomorrow, if you can. All right. Any, no, we got the clerk's report.
Councilman Green told me not to make a report because he wanted to get out early, and then he talked.
All right. He kept talking. I was trying to push it to 4 o'clock, and it just didn't happen. So
I'm done.
All right, Councilman Nichols.
Well, I'll defer to the mayor regarding additional communications, and I'd like to make a report.
Okay. All right. Well, now we do have additional communications from the mayor.
No, we have no further communications.
All right.
Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Nichols.
Mr. Chairman, as you know, the Audit and Finance Committee received a copy of the External Auditor's 2018 report. This is a report concerning the city's financial condition for the period ending December 31st, 2018. As was true of the draft report, the final report details serious deficiencies in the city's finance department. For the benefit of the public, I will emphasize the report covers a time period before this council or Mayor Perkins took office. I'm confident that the administration will work to remedy the deficiencies identified, but I want to emphasize that some of the findings that the external auditor has made really are shocking for an organization the size of the city of Shreveport. And it's my view that we cannot effectively conduct the business of the public if we cannot remedy those deficiencies. Thank you.
All right. Councilman Butcher.
Mr. Mayor, one thing I just thought about this, and this might be something for Barbara, but I have over the weekend, I think water bills were mailed to my area of town, and there is like people that are having $800-900 bills. There's something going on, because I keep telling them to send me an email, but I'm afraid y'all are about to get bombarded, because I know mine doubled this time. We got ours Saturday, but I've gotten probably 5 emails, and then Facebook has been blowing up in all the neighborhood associations. So is there something going on?
Not that I'm aware of, other than people are sprinkling. I mean, I drive around town, I see people with their irrigation systems on. Most folks don't realize how much water can go through a 3/4 inch, a 1 inch, even a 2 inch meter. Some folks have 2 inch water meters to irrigate their property. You can go through that amount of water in a very quick time period. If people have concerns, contact customer service, go out and read your meter. I'm pulling together the information on the one you sent me this weekend to get the meter reads that, because now my meter readers are supposed to be taking pictures of those reads, so we have something to, show the customers they were there, they read the meter. We are working to go through a backlog of some leak checks and to check. And I try to tell customers the most important thing they can do is just look at their water meter, is to, read it, before you go to bed and first thing in the morning, or look at, most of the meters will have a little red dial that if you turn everything off and that dial is moving, you've got a leak. Time your irrigation system. I visited with a customer last year that we went out and they had 15 zones that were on for 20 minutes apiece. The ground was sopping wet. They had a 2 inch irrigation meter, and they were concerned about why they used 50,000 gallons of water on their irrigation. And I'm like, that's the reason. Those systems can use an awful lot of water. Making sure what time of the day you're watering. In the morning is the best. It's the best use of your time. Limiting, if you see runoff from your sprinkler systems, you're putting too much water on it. But this time of year, particularly as we've seen a very wet spring, people planted a lot of stuff. It stayed green for a long time, and now, you know, we're at 100-degree days for what, the past 2 weeks, just about, and another week without really much potential for rain. People are using a lot of water outside.
Well, I'm going to continue to forward them to you. I mean, I don't know what else we can do. I do know that there was somebody in Southern Trace that mentioned last night that their bill went from like $200 to almost $800. Mine personally went up. Mine usually runs about 120, 130, and that's with water. And we only water from about March to, I don't know, October, something like that. And ours was over $230, $240 this month. So it's almost doubled. And I understand that we've got the Clean City fee on there and some other things going on, but I just I'm afraid that, and I talked to Councilman Fleury about it today, and he's been getting some of the similar calls about water bills. So I'm afraid we're about to get bombarded with it. So, if, I didn't know if it was something with the new system or if it was the way they're being read now, or something that we could, put out there to people to let them know. But I'll just continue to just copy you on these emails.
Please send them to us. My staff will investigate. They can call customer service and ask them to do a check leak. And see.
And another thing, and I always commend city employees as much as I can, but one of the people sent me an email and said that somebody in customer service said, well, if you like having water, you better pay your bill. And I'm like, no. I mean, could you imagine the sticker shock of and this wasn't the $800 one, but I mean, just even going up from 100 to 150, 160, 170, that's a lot of money for some people. And for an employee to say, well, if you like your water, you better pay it. I hope that that's not what's
Hopefully that's not what someone said. We do, and send those to me as well. I mean, we will, the one you sent me this weekend, we'll pull the recordings. 100% of our calls are recorded.
Good.
I pull those recordings, and it's a 50-50 split between
what's true and
what's true. And sometimes it's just, when people call, they're not always happy. They're not calling us happy. So, there tends to be a mood out kind of at the start with my CSRs. You cannot begin to imagine some of the phone calls my staff receive.
Oh, I
and the language and is downright ugly.
Oh, I can imagine.
And it's not fair for them to, they're initially trying to assist, and they're being attacked within the first 10 seconds of a conversation.
And it's not their fault that what's going on. So, okay, well, thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Jones.
Yes, I just wanted to reiterate what Barbara said, Councilman Butcher. If you have any constituents specifically, with some issues, please let us know,
Okay.
so that we can look at it individually and see what's going on.
Pretty much everything I always copy you, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The other thing I did want to mention is that regarding Councilman Nicholson's comment about the audit, we did meet with Tom Sims, the external auditor, on last week, and we spent a few hours with him with all of the finance staff. And we went through every single finding again, which we've been going through them again and again. But we had an opportunity to look at what was in the final audit and compare to the things that we've already been working on. And he even said there's not a single item on that list that we have not touched, and we've either addressed them or in the process of addressing them, or we've got some plans in place to make sure that we get those things done. So we're all over this. Can't do it fast enough. I wish we could move a whole lot quicker. And then again, we have GFOA who's coming in. They'll be on campus. I'm looking forward to the work that they're going to be doing to help us make sure that work is distributed evenly throughout the department and that we're being efficient. I think that'll help to address a lot of the one-offs that we have the city has experienced in the past. So we are definitely looking at it in detail.
All right. And Councilman Bradford, right before you, Councilman Bradford, I just wanted to make sure that Councilman Butcher get with Miss Heather and make sure she's looking at their water bill and paying it on time now.
Trust me, she's been out there.
Make sure there ain't a late bill that she's
been out there.
All right. Councilman Bradford.
Mr. Chairman, I need to get some understanding or clarification. The council members received an email from the deputy clerk in reference to the costs the council budget would have to assume in regards to security. I don't remember that ever coming before the body. So I'm wondering, who made that decision, and why do whoever made the decision feel like we need the extra security in this chamber to the extent that we need to be obligated to $600 to $700 a month for security? Can you have any information on that? Okay.
It was me, it came to me and to Councilman Butcher, and I went and discussed it after we were having some issues here in the chamber. So we decided to see about, we talked to the marshal and check to see how, what could we do, or what would happen, and just to try the trial period to see how would it go with the council, with the marshal's office, instead of putting so much emphasis on the SPD.
Well, I'm not going to dispute the fact that there was a period where, doing public commentary, and the climate of the council needed to be controlled. I'm not going to deny that, but I think that has passed us over. So I guess my specific question would be, if we're going to obligate the council's budget, it appears that would be a decision from the council.
It will be.
But yet we have assumed that responsibility, have we not?
At this particular time, for the last 2 months. Yeah, 2 months.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen the presence of the marshals, but I'm saying, I did not know the arrangement that had been made to have them here, but I'm saying that the council needs to debate that, because I'm saying I don't see at this particular time the need of having extra security.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Somebody threatened us and I don't know about it?
Try to keep you out of harm's way. You know, we got a lot to, you precious cargo. All right.
Mr. Stubbs, how your grass doing? Yeah.
It's doing fine. Got a good bill.
All right. If there's nothing else, then this meeting is adjourned.
Wait. Come on, preacher, you're not preaching that, you have to get it out.